Hi, and welcome to Golf with Bård. My name is Bård, and I am a Norwegian golf vlogger. What we're going to talk about today is maybe the most important thing in golf, and that is the short game. What is short game? Short game is from 100 yards and in, and it's also around the green. So green, bunker, pitch and chip shots, but also putting. I'm very happy that today we're going to have Paul Blaikie here. Paul Blaikie is a former professional golfer. He played on the European Tour. He grew up playing golf with Ernie Els, the Big Easy, and he's a short game specialist. So he's going to help us today. So that's it. Let's get to it.
Yes.
This is Paul Blaikie.
Who am I? Well, I've been in Norway since 1996. Teaching golf. Started here in Trondheim actually in '96, it's been a fantastic 20 odd years. So I've almost lived longer in Norway than I lived in South Africa. I grew up in South Africa, learned my golf down there, played a lot with the best players in the world. I love the game. I love teaching. So.
I love the game, but I'm certainly not at your level. I am a mid-handicapper, represent the majority of the golfers out there. And obviously there's a lot of places where we can save shots.
Correct. Yeah, the majority of shots you can be saved are within 100 meters. And it's basically down to technique. It's not really, distance is not a big thing here. So as long as you can get the ball off the tee a relative distance, the 100 meters in, that's where you can save the shots. Mm-hmm. And that's where I've sort of established a good basis of techniques and that sort of stuff, and how people can get better quite quickly without too much work actually. So that's my forte is short game really. I mean, I'm pretty good at the swing too, but I was really good at the short game.
And just what you said there is the reason why I'm here together with you. I would like to get some more tips for my short game.
Yeah.
Like I'm struggling all over the place with my driver, and we don't even mention it. But the short game is something that I really wanted to get better. And today, what we're going to do?
Today, I was thinking we'd start with a 50 yard or 50 meter shot. Just to go through the basics of how to set up. My method is that technique is the same whether you're hitting a 10-yard pitch or you're hitting a 50-yard pitch. Technique is the same. One movement, and you just choose the club depending on what's a ball flight you want to do. We take the hands out of the game, we use the big muscles in the body, and we just create the speed by rotating the body. It sounds simple, but it's not that simple.
I hope it's simple. Anything else you want to say before we're off?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll just get straight into it. Go through the techniques, the basic stuff, and then I'll hit a few shots, and you can see what I try and do, and see if you can repeat it.
I'll pick it up from there. Okay.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go through the basic technique of pitching, chipping. We've got about a 50-meter shot here. So what I try and do is take the hands out of the game, and use the body to rotate and create the speed. So the small muscles when you're under pressure are the muscles that give you problems. Even putting and chipping and that sort of stuff, you want to take the small muscles. It means your hands out of the game and use the big rotation, the big muscles in your body to create the speed and create the stable hit. So the basic setup, what I try and do is because it's a shorter shot, grip slightly down on the club to get a little bit more control of the club head. We then set up with a club towards the target, and we open the stance a little bit. Ball position in the middle of the feet towards the back if you want. The weight distribution, weight more on the left side. You lean into the shot a little bit, so you come down a little steeper onto the ball, creating a little bit more spin. Once we set up, we've got the hands slightly ahead of the club head, so you get a little bit of shaft angle. When we take the club back, we set the hands straight away, and that's the only part of the swing where you use the hands. Take the club back, you set the hands cock them a little bit, and from there you just rotate back, and from here we rotate all the way through without releasing the club on the way through. So you do not release the club. So as soon as you release the club, you lose control of the club face. And once you lose control of the club face and the ball, you're going to lose control of the ball. So we try and keep the club face square through impact all the way through the shot. So the club face is always pointing towards your face actually there. You're not going to then release the club head over like that like you do with a normal shot. You're going to keep the club face square. So the angle of attack is quite steep, so you come down there, you catch the ball, and then you just rotate through, holding the same height throughout the ball, which creates the backspin on the ball. So everyone's asking me, how do you create backspin? You've got to actually keep this club face square, and you don't release the club head. As soon as you release the club head, you lose the spin. Okay. You might get a lot higher shot. We want to keep it pretty low. So when you see the guys at those low sort of check shots, this is how you do it. 55 meters, so I'll go in from behind, I'll set up, pick up my target line, get the club face pointing down towards the target line, and then I'll stand slightly open. I just visualize the shot, I visualize the flight of the ball, club head, behind the ball, hands in front, set up, see my target, take the club back. Again, get the feeling, hands forward, weight forward.
As far as I can see, the most of them are on the green.
Yeah, well, I need to practice a little. It's been a long time since I've done sort of my own training, but yeah, I mean the basics stay the same. The feel disappears once you don't practice a lot. So the distance control is a little bit more difficult to control because you're just doing it enough to get the repetition and the rhythm and that sort of stuff. But the technique, it stays. I mean, you don't really lose that much. You might lose a little bit of the contact of the ball, but that's just a little bit more practice. But yeah, for me, it's a simple movement using the big muscles. You set the hands, and once you've set the hands, you can just rotate. If you see in the video what I was doing, you just rotate the body through the ball. You don't use much arms on hands. You just let the body rotate. You get the big muscles, get the hips to rotate, and the top body to rotate through the ball. The most difficult part of it is actually for the amateur golfer to take the hands out of the game.
Yeah.
A lot of them like to use the hands because they think they need to help the ball to get up in the air. It's a club face that does that work for you. And once you take the hands out of the game, then you start to get real control. Especially when we get closer and closer to the green. As soon as you put in the hands and you start chipping with the wrists, it's very difficult then to control the distance because then you lose control of the club speed of the club head, and then it's just a guessing game really. From
beginners, mid-handicappers, and also to single figures, how do you recommend practicing? Because like normally what me and my lads, the guys do, is go to the range.
You know, I've got nothing against going to the driving range, but if you really want to get quick results in this game with bring your score down, it's more the chipping and the putting that you've got to practice. I mean, driving, as long as you can hit the ball a reasonable distance and hold it within a certain sector, you don't hit it too far offline. It's the short game where you're going to catch, you're going to make up, and that's where you should be putting a lot more effort and time. I mean, when I used to practice when I was on the tour, I mean, 70-80% of the time was just in the short game, and that's all you do. You chip and you putt and you pitch. And you go to the range and make sure you're still hitting the ball okay. So, but it is generally the short game that you use most of your time because it's the scoring shots. That's where if you're going to make money out of the game, that's where you're going to make money. But yeah, it's putting, short game, short chips, 20-30 meter shots. That's where you're really going to score.
Okay.
Get your handicaps down. The clue here is to take quite a short backswing and an aggressive rotation through the ball. So you keep the club head accelerating through the ball. That's important. As soon as the club head decelerates, you've got real problems. So that's where a lot of people they don't understand that the length of the backswing is incredibly important here. It's quite short and it's quite an aggressive attack through the ball. That's what creates the spin and the control.
Should we go and see how it is around the green?
Well, we'll go and hit a few chips. I'll show you the technique doesn't change much. It's obviously a lot shorter. Not as aggressive as this 50-yard shot, but the technique basics stay the same.
Okay, Paul, now we're a bit closer to the green.
Yeah.
I end up here a lot because I often miss the fairway, and then I often miss the green as well.
Yeah, so this is the shot that a lot of people struggle. I mean, my sort of theory in chipping is that you've got to keep the ball along the ground. As soon as you get the ball in the air, it's when you lose control. So if you've got any opportunity to run the ball in, keep it low and run it in, just like a putt or something, lift it slightly off the ground, I'd advise that. So using a 9-iron or an 8-iron to chip it in is probably much better than using the sand wedge or the lob wedge. Too many players use the sand wedge and the lob wedge, and they do not have the control, and that's where they start duffing it, they start missing it, they start thinning it, everything can happen. Yeah. With a 9-iron or an 8-iron, it's a lot easier. It's a bit like a putt, very difficult to actually make a mistake. Distance control obviously is a little training, but other than that, that's the most important thing. Try keep the ball on the ground. So
if it doesn't have a water hazard or a bunker, then
run it along the ground. And it doesn't look as fancy, but hey, no one's making any comments on the scorecard. It's how many shots you play in this game. So you watch the top players as well. As soon as they've got opportunity, they'll keep it on the ground. They're not going to fly it all the way. Yes, you get a little bit of a false image of especially when they play in America, because it's slightly different courses than we play here. They can fly it up and they can spin it and that sort of stuff. But if you ask them how they play the shot, if they want a percentage shot, they'll keep it along the ground. They keep it low.
Okay, cool. Okay, show us.
Okay, so the technique here, it makes no difference whether you're using a sand wedge or using a 9-iron. The technique stays the same. It's the angle of the club that determines the height of the flight of the ball. So you don't actually physically have to do anything or change anything. So the angle of the club face, again, produces the ball flight. I'll start with a 9-iron. Obviously the angle is a lot less, so the ball's going to come out a lot lower, but the setup and the swing movement is exactly the same. So we'll start with the 9-iron again. Because we don't need any distance, we want more control of the club head. We hold the club sharp, grip the club a lot further down the shaft so we have more control. So right down the hands, my right hand's almost at the base of the grip, down there. Setup is very much similar to what we've just done on the pitch, maybe slightly smaller in the feet. Again, we've got the weight on the left side, ball towards the middle of the stance, very much more upright. So we're getting the club shaft quite steep into the ball, makes it easier to attack the ball and actually catch the ball first. So you don't want to hit the ground. Yeah, that's a very big point here. Keep the club head ahead of the ball and the club head. Again, the same grip. Lean into the left side. We take the club back. We set the hands slightly, a little movement in the wrist, and once we've got that, we just rotate through, and there we keep the hands firm. Never release, never use the wrists. That's the clue. We use the hips. Okay, so it's a rotation through the ball, back, through. That's the length of the backswing that determines how far you want to hit the ball. So if you want to hit a little further, we take a little further back. A little further rotation through the ball. Okay, a short chip. You see that the flight of the ball is quite low. That's all in the rhythm. Got to keep a good rhythm. If you don't have a good rhythm, difficult to control it again. So the speed of the club head, back, through, you keep the same rhythm all the time. Okay. Nice and slow. So what we're going to do now is going to flip over, we're going to go to the sand wedge. This time the ball will obviously fly a little higher, with a little bit more angle on the club, but again, nothing changes. Same setup, same hand position, weight forward on the left side, through. So nothing's really changed. Obviously if I'm going to hit the same length, I've got to have a little bit more speed. So I just rotate a little faster and just let the club swing through. Again, rhythm, all about the rhythm. Nothing changes. Same, finish in the same way, rotate, get the belt towards the target, hands out, and there's no release of the club head. Keep the left wrist firm through the ball. It creates a good contact with the ball. Hands forward and rotate. and you've got to learn to use the body more. And that's where a lot of amateurs don't. They don't use their body. They use their arms to try and create the speed, and that's where the problems come in. And that's not just generally short shots. I'm talking on the range as well, trying to hit it, trying to hit the drive and that sort of stuff. Everyone's using the arms to try and create the speed. That's where you want to use the big muscles, the strong muscles in the body. That's the hips, and rotate that. So sort of everything flows through from chipping all the way through to the full swing. You've got to rotate. You've got to keep the body rotating. That's the clue of it. Here it's obviously a lot slower, a lot smoother. Whereas you get to the longer shots, it's a lot more. It's a lot more speed. But it's getting those hips to rotate, and that's the most important part of the golf. So, and that's what I try and teach my new beginners. The first thing to teach them is the grip, and number 2 is how to rotate. And if they get that within the first 6 hours, I'm very happy. Yeah. So that's how we try and do it, and then we try and bring that through all the way through, from the chipping all the way through to the full swing. Don't try and don't think every shot has to look pretty. It's not a even the top players, they play some ugly shots. They really do. It's just it's a matter of getting the ball near the hole, and that's what the object is. It's a lot easier to keep the ball. Control the ball when it comes out low and runs. I mean, it's much easier. If you think you're going to throw the ball towards a target, how would you throw it? You'd run it along the ground, because it's a lot easier to control. My general advice: use a lot more 9-irons to chip within the sandwich. That's the interesting thing about golf, is that you've always got something to learn. It doesn't matter which shot. There's always something new to learn, and that's what makes it so difficult in this game. It's not just one aspect you've got to be good at. You've got to be able to do all the shots, and that's where it becomes difficult.
But again, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Corona, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for watching. That was Short Game by Paul Blaikie. What an honor to have him on my channel. I learned a lot of tips. I hope you did too. And together we can practice these shots and these techniques. That was it. Thank you again. See you.
I know you'll enjoy. This is Golf with Bård. Yes, indeed. Never seen nothing like this before.